Welcome back to Castle Farms Homestead. Today I'm going to show you how to make fermented chicken feed. In an earlier video I made yogurt and I drained off the whey, and we're going to use that today. So first off, why are we fermenting chicken feed? Well, there's a few reasons. First, it's easier to digest and the nutrients are more bioavailable for your chickens. And studies show that fermenting the feed increases the levels of vitamin B, C, and K, and also increases the protein, which is important for chickens. They need at least 16% of protein in their feed. And it also can decrease levels of toxic compounds. So when you ferment the feed, it swells up and they eat less, but they're getting better nutrition. And this saves money. In feed, often you'll find kind of powder. They call it fine. And when you're fermenting the food, that gets eaten instead of just spilled on the ground. Let's see, it also improves their immunity and overall health of the chickens, which increases the quality of the eggs that you get, which is usually the reason for raising chickens. So there's a few ways that you can ferment the feed. It's quite easy. Today I'm going to use whey. You can also use water. You don't want to use tap water because of chlorine and chemicals in it. So we use water from our Berkey. I used to buy filtered water at the store. If you have a well, that's probably fine. You can also use tap water, but leave it in a bowl with as much surface area as possible and leave it out for 24 hours, and that will allow the chlorine to evaporate. So how do you do this? Well, choose a container, and ordinarily I would say glass. Glass is always going to be better than plastic. However, for us, we have to walk down a hill to our chickens, a pretty steep hill with switchbacks. And Clint and I have both fallen going down this hill. It's winter and we've had ice and mud. And carrying a glass container down a slick hill is not the best idea. So I do have a BPA plastic container. Has a crack on the lid because Clint did fall carrying this container also. We've had a lot of ice this year. So you're going to just put your chicken feed in here. Now this happens to be chicken feed that I've mixed with other things just because I cleaned out a cabinet. So this has oats in it that are older than Brady from Clint's mom and dad's food storage. And it has some old protein powder. And it has some old millet flour, buckwheat flour, a few other things like that. So, but you can just do this with your regular feed. So you're just going to add your feed. Now I have 11 chickens, and this will work for them. Then you're just going to add your liquid, and you want your liquid to cover your feed. And you'll notice that this is kind of dirty. You don't have to wash this out every time you're done using it because whatever's left in there will just start the fermentation process quicker. And you want it to be about an inch more than your feed. So I'm going to add some more. And it really depends on how many chickens you have. So we have 11 chickens, and I just keep this on the kitchen counter. If you have less chickens, you can just use a mason jar. And if you have more chickens, you can do a 5-gallon bucket. I don't really have room in my house for a 5-gallon bucket. And you generally, depending on the season, you generally want to do this inside. Right now, it's freezing outside, like literally, and this would freeze and it wouldn't ferment. So I just always have this sitting on the kitchen counter. Okay, that's how easy it is. Now, I'm going to check this again in 15 to 30 minutes because right now it's going to soak up all that moisture. And I don't want this to mold. I want it to ferment. So I need to make sure that that moisture stays above the solid feed line. And then you're going to stir it once or twice a day. That's it. That's another reason that I just leave it sitting on the kitchen counter. It's in front of my face. And so I see it and I'll just give it a quick stir. It's really not hard. Then how long to ferment it? Oh, that's a big question with lots of controversy. So I pretty much just do it every other day just because it makes it nice and easy for me. Some people say no more than 24 hours. Most say about 3 days is ideal. So do what works for you. Ideally, I should have 3 of these going with dates on it, and then I could give this to my chickens every single day. I'm not there yet. I just have 1, and then I give it to them every day or 2. And will your chickens eat it? Probably. Mine love it. I still have their dry feed available for them all the time, but when I come down with this, they're all excited and they gather around and they want to see what yummy treat I brought them. So something else you can do when you're fermenting is add a little bit of cayenne pepper. It's really good for your girls, especially in the winter. It helps them to stay warm, keeps disease down. So I don't measure it. I just add a little bit in there. Makes the fermented food a nice, pretty pink, peachy color. And chickens, turns out, don't really have taste buds, and they're not picky eaters at all, so they don't seem to notice it at all when I put the cayenne in. Okay, now to feed this to them, you're going to need some kind of a container. It's not going to work in your automatic feeder. I was going to show you what I usually use, a crock, but it's frozen to the ground right now. So you can just use anything. You just need it to be some kind of a bowl that will hold liquid and fairly flat so that they can get to it. You don't have to go to the pet store and get anything fancy. Honestly, go to the thrift store and find an old casserole dish or something, and that'll work just fine. Now this is a little bit soupy. When it's ready and I feed it to them, it's a little bit more like oatmeal consistency, and you just pour it in and offer it to them, and they will be thrilled to eat it. Okay, it's been 30 minutes, and as you can see, most of the fluid has soaked in. We've still got a little bit above. So I'm just going to add about a cup of water. Make sure I'm well above that line. I just don't want this to mold. I want it to ferment. And that's it. I'm going to give it another stir. And I'm going to set it aside on my counter. So I have something beautiful to look at, right? Farming's not always beautiful. But I'll just have this on the counter and we'll show you when we feed it to the girls and you can see how much they like it. So our chicken feed that I fermented is ready to go. It's been a couple days and I forgot to stir it yesterday, so I want you to look and see what's on the top and realize this might happen with yours and it's not a problem. Get in there. You can see bubbles underneath and they might start popping. That might seem like mold, but it's not. It's actually called cam yeast, and it's from wild yeast in the air. And the way that you know it's cam yeast and not mold is it's either white or gray. It covers the whole entire surface, and it's more like a film, but it's not fuzzy and it's not slimy. And it's not harmful. It happens sometimes on fermented food. It's perfectly fine for humans also, but it does affect the taste. So if it's on something I was doing for me, I might be more concerned about it. But like we said, chickens don't really care too much about taste. I'm just gonna pour all of this. This is a bowl I got at the thrift store, and it's designed to have a heater. That's why it has a little thing there in the middle, but it didn't have the heater with it. But it works really great as just a crock for the chickens to eat out of, and it gives them lots of surface area. Okay, and then we're going to take this down to the girls and see how they like it. Everybody knows there's a treat coming. Oh, the deer. They were down this morning too. Yeah, they were in our yard this morning. Is it mama and a baby? Molly's smelling them. All right, so see, show everybody how much they like their fermented feed. Hey guys. Hey guys. Got your treat that you love. Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? Get back in there. What are you doing? You don't try to get out. You guys never try to get out. What? Is this just for the camera? Come here, guys. Come here. Come here. There you go. Oh, there we go. Yummy good stuff. Oh, yeah. I love it. This is a little bit runnier and more soupy. I just kind of got more water this time. Sometimes it'll be more like oatmeal, like a thicker oatmeal. But whatever the texture, as long as it gets a good soak and fermenting going on, makes it better for them. And as you can tell, they're happy to eat it and make a mess with it because they're chickens and that's what they do. So if you've got chickens, go ahead and try giving them some fermented food and see how it works. And you'll be one step closer to being self-sufficient. If you don't have chickens, watch another video and find out why you should have chickens.